Joining us today for a discussion to combat hoaxes is the co-founder of leading anti-hoax NGO Mafindo, Aribowo Sasmito. Good morning, Mas Ari.
Good morning, Mbak
Good
Marisa.
morning.
Thank you
Good
so
morning.
much for joining
Thank you for
us.
having me.
So what's your take on this latest case of pretty much murder being triggered by information that is not true?
Everyone is shocked about it,
Yeah.
of course, and my condolences to
Yeah.
the victims and all the families. And unfortunately, this is something that doesn't happen the first time in Indonesia. Also, the way how it happened is almost similar like what happened in India, where a group of people is driving a car and the people panic, angry mobs. A lot of people, about 1,000 actually. People also, police officers also arrived, but they are unable to stop it because there was way too many people. And then, what happened next? There are several victims.
So why is this happening, Mas Ari? I mean, what happened to us technology users psychologically that actually drive this to happen?
Yeah, psychologically, that's exactly one of the reasons why this has become something that is so dangerous. In social media, we call it real world danger, something that started in social media or other type of cyber world. Like for example, what happened in India back then was people are using WhatsApp group to share the information, saying that there are several people inside a car. They are abducting children, giving candies, and then what happened next? They send it to a group to the next village, and what happened next is that they are being targeted by a lot of people. They are lynching by mobs. It's kind of the same to what happened in Indonesia.
What's going on in our society that makes this happen?
Yeah, unfortunately, this is something that has been happening from a long time ago. But what happened with technology, social media, and internet is that the way how it grows exponentially, it becomes free tools and instant because, from the time when we wake up and time we go to bed, there's a small computer that we have in our hand. Even the first time when we wake up in the morning, what do? Turning off the alarm. So this is something that a lot of people do not realize, that your finger can actually get someone else killed.
Yeah, and the ripple effects is unbelievable because depending on how many followers you have on social media, it could be hundreds, thousands, or tens or hundreds of thousands, or even WhatsApp groups. There could be 100 people in one WhatsApp group. So sending one wrong piece of information, you could be misinforming like triple digits of people. And what is it about certain news hoaxes that catch more speed, if you will, or gain more momentum than others? And usually it's the more sensational one. It's the more shocking ones that are. What is it about those hoaxes in particular that happen to gather more steam than others?
Well, you mentioned earlier about psychological effect. One of the most widely spread misinformation would be misinformation that uses technique of triggering people's emotional responses, specifically fear and anger, or the combination of both. You cannot easily control a crowd of people that is both they are angry and afraid at the same time.
Right.
Even just a few numbers of police officers is not enough. And whether the situation is actually naturally arise, like for example, during natural disasters.
Yes.
Back then, I remember I was a victim of the Jogja earthquake. There was no social media at that time, but the messages were spreading through SMS broadcast. My family actually has to go to the middle of the rice field because at that time there was this hoax or misinformation saying that the tsunami is coming. And from the north part of Yogyakarta, the Merapi mountain exploding. So everybody is panic. From the southern area goes to the south. Sorry, from the northern area goes to the south, and from the south go to the north, and then everyone colliding at the middle of the center. That is the natural disasters, and also other type of the fear mongering would be like during, whether it's deliberately created or undeliberately spread by the victims. Like for example, the abduction, the abduction rumors or some, and most of the time during other type of disasters, like for example, plane crash. Right. A lot of videos are being distributed, and now because the popular social media is TikTok, a lot of videos in TikTok coming from simulator programs.
Really?
Yeah,
So it's fake,
program.
completely fake. It's all just.
Yeah, completely fake.
Yeah, like the earthquake in Turkey and Syria.
Yeah, a lot of video are usually it's coming from an old video, and then they change the context. A lot of people are unaware that when you see an original picture or video, it is not edited, it's not doctored.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily means that the claim or the narrative that comes with it is actually correct.
How do we tackle this? Because obviously disinformation and misinformation will be in our digital lives forever because we can't control what others do, right? If they want to lie about it, they want to create a fake information about it. Yes, it's good if we can trace it, but most of the time we can't trace the source of the false information. How do we as a society protect ourselves from overreacting over hoaxes?
Yeah, digital literacy would be the answer because I'm not saying it's not important for law enforcement, but the problem is whenever we, for example, we catch one person, put them behind bars,
Yes.
the problem is there will be 10 or even
More.
100 people that come
Right.
because from the point of view of supply and demand,
Yes.
false information, hoax are still spreading because there's consumers. You know,
Yes.
no matter there is the source of the problem, and the best way to do this is by law enforcement is important indeed, but of course the best way for a long term we have to do some digital literacy because people unfortunately people are the source of the problem.
When you say digital literacy, what is that? I mean, what sort of knowledge should we, how do you say it? What sort of knowledge do we need to know when it comes to
Arm ourselves with.
Yes,
That's what comes to
exactly.
mind, right? Like, I
Yes,
need
that's
to
what
arm
I'm saying.
myself.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly the answer because
Yeah.
Empowering people
Yes.
of previously we talked about the difference between digital natives and the digital migrants.
Yeah, that's very interesting perspective. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, family WhatsApp group, right? That's
Family
part of the
WhatsApp group
problem.
is one of the worst places
Yeah,
with
whenever
hoaxes.
we try to warn, try to have understanding from our uncles or even our parents, usually
Yes.
they are the one who's saying that you are being disrespectful. And this is something that happened not only in Indonesia, but also other parts of the world. My friend from India, even Australia, saying that the elders are the ones who are difficult to be educated.
Right.
Since because they are, after all, they are digital migrants, they're
Right.
learning how to forward pictures, how to forward messages when they are. So basically, even they do not understand the contents of the message, they'll share it right away.
Is it because they want to be the first person who breaks the story?
That is
sort
so
of
true.
thing? And
Really?
there's
Is that
a
part of it?
sense of
There are certain
self-importance.
pride from
Yeah.
certain people that
Yeah.
they're saying that I'm the first person who knows this.
Yeah.
Don't forget, I'm the first person who told you.
Wow.
So
It's about ego.
Yeah.
Again,
Similarly, when somebody forwards me something that I've read, I always tell them, "Yeah, I already saw this." So it's like the same thing, right? We just want to be like, "Hey, I already knew about this." So
I know that first, and then you turn your back, and then you're reading about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so I like that perspective because I'm a digital migrant, but I was
Me
a migrant
too.
at a very young age. Like I know cell phones were first introduced when I was just getting into high school.
Is it in the 90s?
It
Early
was in the
90s in
yes,
Canada,
in
right?
Canada, and
Yeah.
there was pagers. So there was this kind of technological shift, although very outdated now.
Yeah.
But I found it easy to adapt. And whereas it's my parents or even my oldest sister
Yeah.
would be a little bit more difficult for me. Yeah, I'd have to show her. And now my kid's showing me things as well.
Yeah.
I would say.
It is accelerated because for the 2 years during the pandemic, even like my kids or on their age, they are required to learn remotely using
Yes.
Parents have no choice but to just give them the phone and then
They're way more tech savvy than us, right? So if we want to teach someone to be a little bit more aware that, okay, this information is false information, guys, and this one is true. I mean, how do we make ourselves more sensitive to know the difference between real and not real or fake?
Yeah, one of the methods that we're providing the public would be, I'm sorry, will be sound like advertorial. We have several programs, for example, for the general public. We provide the kelas kebal hoax lesson,
Kelas apa?
kelas kebal hoax.
Okay,
So
kelas
basically,
kebal hoax.
a way of how to provide immunization to the people. We
Nice.
actually have no choice but to teach people how to make false information, how to make hoax. Like for example, it only takes a minute to change the headline of a web page and then took a screenshot and then just spread it right away, and then people who are not willing to check it first,
Right.
they believe it.
Oh, so, okay. So that's an interesting approach. You actually show people how
Yeah.
it's done, so they know. Oh, this is what it's capable of. That's
Yeah.
actually a good idea.
Yes.
Yeah, like
yes.
for example, it takes only a minute. Do not fool by false information that
Yeah.
only takes a minute to create. I mean, this is to show that be a little bit smarter.
Yeah, be a little bit smarter. And I think there's one method that I've been doing also, Mas Ari, is that if what you read feels super sensational, you should question it more, whether it's true or not.
Yeah.
Because usually the more sensational, the more I'm suspicious, like, is this true? Because this is too good to be true. This is too sensational
Or it's
to
too
be
crazy, or it's, yeah,
There
check
you
it
go.
out for yourself. So
Yeah.
what is the, well, Mafindo, I mean, it's Masyarakat Anti-Fitnah
Yeah.
of Indonesia. So you must have certain kind of steps that you take in order to, like something arrives at your desk or on your phone, and you right away, what are your steps to see or to fact check or to figure out if this is a hoax or if this is real?
Well, we have several steps, procedures. The first procedure would be to take the screenshot and then secure it on the archive sites, like for example, because you need to make a copy out of
Okay.
it because
Yes.
several times we were actually being accused. You're the one who make the screenshot, and then and then you clarified yourself. So since 2018, we are required to also make a copy online using archive sites. And then after that, for example, if the misinformation is in the form of whether it's picture or video, we'll try to find the correct context of the picture on the video, and then we make the exact article.
Do we have an application or a website like Snopes?
Yeah, yeah,
We do?
We do.
What
Even
do we
if
have?
you're using regular browser like Google Chrome, for example,
Yeah.
what you need to do is to just take a small part of the narrative or claim of
Okay.
the
Copy
false
paste.
information that you find, and then just put a hoax word over it. Like for example, penculikan hoax, and then Google have these several section.
Right.
Just click on the news, and then most likely you will find either it's
Okay.
from Turn Back Hoax ID from Mafindo, and also we are working with 24, 25 national media on checkfakta.com. Then we were sharing our resources.
That's
So
great.
basically,
Wow.
you just need to be willing to just a little bit.
Yeah,
more
like
research.
penculikan anak hoax, and then it'll pop.
And also some of the fact checker organization we already made applications. Like for example, Mafindo, we have the Hoaxbuster tools. Unfortunately, it's difficult to put it in Apple Store. So I often jokingly said that for Apple users, please buy Android. Because we did post it a few months in Apple Store, but we have no idea why it's gone. So,
Taken down,
using
yeah.
Kelas Kebal, that was using the application,
Yeah.
Hoaxbuster tools, you can actually, you don't have to open any browser, and the less, what do you call it? The less
Complicated. Like
application, the less efforts that we made is by creating WhatsApp chatbot. We call it Kalimasada, but also the member of Cek Fakta, also Liputan 6, for example, we made. So you don't actually have to open a browser or any other application. Just open a WhatsApp, ask the bot, and then the bot will provide you the answers. Yeah.
It's automated.
See?
It's amazing.
We have the resources.
Exactly. Just, but how
Like,
often do we use it,
just
right?
don't be lazy, right?
It's just like forward, everyone's a group.
Laziness is the biggest problem.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned digital literacy. So
Yes.
let's now, before we continue this discussion, have a look at Indonesia's digital literacy index for last year, 2022.
Boom.
Here we go. So surprise here, guys. So from 2021, which was at almost 3.5, 3.49, it had gone up. This is out of a scale of 5, by the way. And last year was at 3.54. So on the rise, but perhaps...
What does this mean, though?
Just some context. I was
Yeah.
asking Masari before our talk show, what is the country with the highest score on the index? What was the answer?
Finland,
Finland.
Yeah.
What was the score? Do you know?
because even since elementary school, they are taught with the curriculum of the digital
There you go.
literacy.
Yeah,
In a
it's like-
perfect world,
Yeah.
digital literacy first, and then social media appear, but this is not a perfect world. So
Yeah.
what happened is that a lot of people, public, government, and even the platform themselves, they are surprised that we're making the social media not for the purpose of negative purposes, but what happened today is that a lot of even platforms also struggling with trying to get the public to also understand about the digital literacy.
Correct. And by the way, if you want to know, the parameters and the scoring for this was based on 4 areas: digital skills, digital ethics, digital safety, and digital culture. So everything taken into consideration. But this also brings up an interesting point, because when I asked what country, and Masari said Finland, and due to their kind of early introduction to, that's kind of like counterintuitive to what we do. We're always telling ourselves, hey, don't let your kids play with gadgets. Like, keep them away as long as possible. But that might not be the right approach, right? Like, let them have the gadget, but let them be smart about it. Like, teach them how to use it properly.
Teach them how to use it properly. But the problem in Indonesia is that, okay, I'm just going to give you this digital gadget as a digital pacifier.
As a nanny.
As a nanny. A lot, I'm sure you see a lot whenever you're in restaurants, when the parents are tired. Completely understand that being parents are very, it's very difficult. But at the same time, giving your little baby iPad is not the way.
No, I've seen a dinner between a family where the father and mother were both on their phones and the kids are watching their tabs, and I'm like, what a family dinner that is.
Wow. Might as well just be in separate places.
Separate rooms, exactly.
Anyway.
All right, so here you go. This was our breakdown of the score. If you have a look, our digital culture, surprisingly.
What is that digital culture, Mas?
Yeah, the difficulties would be trying to change the way how people behave, because
you mean around digital gadgets?
Yeah. There are actually people who's like, for example, you are fighting with your neighbors in WhatsApp group, but when you actually meet them physically.
Yes.
Morning,
Can we please talk about that phenomenon for a second?
Yeah. People is like having 2 personalities.
Yes.
There are those who actually, this is something that started even way before the social media. Back then I was the internet cafe operator. There are some of my let's just say friends, they are behaving differently whenever they are online versus offline. So that is something that some people are actually need to understand, that your personalities in online reflects your offline personalities.
Because it does create a lot of mental problems, right, Mas? If you have a certain identity online and that is actually not aligned with who you are, you will start to question, who am I?
Yeah, and also don't forget that Indonesia, Microsoft recently they made a publication saying that Indonesia is the worst on
online behavior,
online
behavior,
by
Microsoft.
Impolite.
Yes,
and then right after they made that publication, their Instagram accounts are being attacked, and then they actually have to
we
lock
proved
their
them right.
Yeah. So instead of trying to prove the otherwise,
Yeah.
everyone is proving the exact. That's a problem.
Well, because as a society, unfortunately, a lot of us repress our feelings and our thoughts.
Yeah.
So that's why there is this double identity. And I think it's good, knowing that we recently had that data from Microsoft. Maybe it's good to ask ourselves question that, maybe we should start living and expressing ourselves in a way that, even though sometimes we express things with different points of view, it doesn't have to be argumentative. It can be a healthy discussion about things that we don't necessarily agree upon.
Yes, and also one of the biggest problem would be to ask the Indonesian netizen, known as netizen plus 62. Netizen.
Oh, is that what we're called?
Yeah. Okay. So, guys, we need your help to also, let's move together with this digital literacy. Mavindo can ask you to move, cekfakta.com. Even the government, we have the National Digital Literacy Movement called Cybercracy, where more than 100 organizations joined. But there's a saying called "It takes two to tango." So even if everyone asks the netizen plus 60 to also be involved with the movement, if you're not moving, then the dance is not happening. So there's no tango. One of the biggest problems would be, like, for example, 10,000 shares over the misinformation, but when we make the fact check article, it doesn't even share 1,000. So
there you go.
that's a problem that not only happened to Mavindo, Cek Fakta, and everyone, but also globally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's still quite a gap there.
Yeah.
But I don't know, speaking from personal experience, I know you're not very much, you're not on social media unless you have to be, but I do I read comments all the time. I see an improvement. I don't know if it's just me, but if somebody makes an ignorant comment, now they're being attacked by their own netizen friends for being silly or for saying something ridiculous. And
especially in Instagram.
Yes.
In Instagram, we are really optimistic that the youngsters will be the one who's going to lead the digital literacy. Like, for example, when you see a doctored edited picture, if you share it in family WhatsApp group,
Oh,
a
the
lot
young
of the
ones
elders will believe it, but if you share it in Instagram, then a lot of comments saying that, oh, this is a pro picture editor,
Yes.
sarcastically. So we are hoping that
There seems to be a shift, right?
Yeah.
Slowly but slowly
great.
but surely. So we know we have to rely on their young ones.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got 3 of them, so I'm going to train them all well.
Exactly. You're gonna
Actually,
Finland
they're
them
the one
up.
who's going to train you.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. Mazari, thank you so much. And
Thank you for
obviously, you have been doing this since 26.
Yeah, 2016 officially, but started from 2014.
Well, keep up the good fight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's definitely
Thank
needed.
you so much.
Thank you so much.